screen on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to our show. My name is Jonathan Tripp. I'm the host of Let's Livestream. And this week, we're going to be talking about live stream fears. Guys, we all have fears. We're all afraid of something. But when it comes to live stream, what gets you going? What holds you up about being able to go live and being able to share your message or talk with your guests, or what is it? We all have these things. So that's what we're going to be talking about this week and on Let's Live Stream. And I want to make sure that you guys all have a chance to be able to join us in, share it out, and I love it. I'm already seeing some of you guys share this out on Periscope and as well as on Facebook. And guys, I really appreciate it. So I know that we've got a lot of things going on. I know you guys have got it's a busy week, but let's take about an hour, join together. Let's talk about this, because I think this is one of those topics that really changes the way that everybody both watches as well as creates a live stream. So I know that there's a lot to be said today, so let's get right into it. And I want to make sure that we go over the rules, because there are rules to the game that we play. And with this as being, we have 4 simple rules, and these rules are really pretty straightforward. Here they are. The first is whenever you use a tweet or something like that, or if you're going to be messaging out and you want this other people to be able to see it, use the hashtag Let's Livestream. It makes it so much easier. I use it all the time when I'm trying to share a message from Let's Livestream and or be able to talk with other people that are interested in the topic as well. Also, since this is a Twitter chat and we put out questions, and we have 6 questions every week, when you're replying to it, reply and then put A1 or A2, depending on whichever question you're talking about, and then add your answer and the hashtag at the end. And this way, everybody will be able to see what you're talking about. Number 3 is that this is also a live streamed event. And if you're watching this, just know that this is live. This is not pre-recorded. We didn't set this out, but this is a live Twitter chat and a live stream show. And we do that under the handle over at Twitter at Let's Livestream. And you can go over to our Periscope channel, and that's actually pretty easy too. Search for Let's Livestream, or if you're on Facebook, it's being put out by VitMug. And you can be able to search us there. But again, that's why we use the hashtag. And last but not least, we want, hopefully every week, we bring you guys something that it's both fun as well as educational, something that will help you grow your business or your brand or some interesting topic. And we really appreciate every share that you guys have and give out, because without it, it's really hard to share. It's really hard for us to get our message out unless we have people that are really would be interested in joining us. So that is this week as we kind of get into it. I hope you guys are taking a chance here real quick to be able to introduce yourself. I'm just going to check right over on Twitter. I know we've got a handful. I see Gail Turner over there, Bradley O'Toole, Jen from Wine Antics. You're there. Awesome. I hope you guys are all ready for our first question. First question is coming out. And I'm going to do my very best to live tweet today, because I have Jen Nelson, who will be joining me just a little bit later on in the broadcast. But our first question is actually, it's pretty straightforward, and it's the namesake of today's show. It's our first question is, what is your worst live stream fear? Okay, and I put it this way because well, it's something we can all identify with. If you've ever gone live, you know that there's a little bit of anxiety, maybe on the light side, to just downright terror of what's going to happen. And so I put this question out into our community, both on Periscope, both on Twitter as well as into Facebook, because I wanted to see what was it that you all thought about. Now with Twitter, when you do Twitter polls, you have to give the answer, and so I tried to kind of spread it out, and I was very interested to see some of the results. And the vast majority of people, they said they have one fear. And so when I went over, I wanted to see, what about what about our Facebook community? Because it's a slightly different community, because we have a Facebook community over on over through Live Talk Nation, and that's where we just have a bunch of different shows, and it's really just it's a great chance to be able to talk together. So I put this poll out there, and I asked the same question. What's your worst live stream fears? And I'm just going to quick kind of go down through this. We had a number of different responses. First off, it was the number one thing was they forgot to switch on the audio source, which when you think about it, because when we think of live, we just want to make sure that people can see us. That just seems to be it's automatic. It seems to be the most notable thing, but we oftentimes forget to check the audio. And there was a number of people that said they forgot to do that. Low internet bandwidth is another. That's their worst fear, is that they're going to get somewhere and they're going to start the live stream, but there's not enough bandwidth to maintain the stream, or maybe even to get a signal. But somebody else said, someone who will photobomb my broadcast sans clothing. Right. I mean, a lot of people are afraid of that. Those are the uncontrollable things that we absolutely have no influence over, no control over, and I think that's pretty interesting when we put it out like that. And again, audio equipment failure, and we see that same kind of sentiment carried over. And I'm reading right on the Twitter poll, and by far the number one fear is a tech failure. And I want to talk about that, and we'll get right into that here in just a short bit. But I do want to say thank you for everybody that's joining us as we're in. I see frameable faces on joining us on Twitter. I see Gail Turner over there. How many of you guys are watching this? I'm trying to bring up the video on there we go, on Facebook. Now it decided to load. Great. I see Alex. I see Mark, Jen, Donna. Guys, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We are talking about what are your worst live stream fear? What are they? Everybody's got them. I would love to be able to catch what you guys have put in there. Carlos Phoenix, I see I see you're here with us today. And in addition, one thing I want to draw everybody's attention. Just if you haven't already, you guys can watch us on YouTube. All right, you guys can actually watch us on YouTube. It's actually it's pretty good. So, all right, so let's see what we can do about. I want to pull up a couple of the comments from our poll, and particularly I wanted to talk about Chris Ripka. He was actually the first one that I remember seeing in our Facebook group. Where he was talking is that he's very consistent with opening a show with no audio. And Chris, man, I can tell you, I've been there and I've done that, and I know exactly what you mean, right? Where everything's rolling, and that's just the last thing we forget to check. But it's super important. I'm telling you right now, it's almost the opposite. That people are way forgiving if you don't if your video is kind of a little crazy, but if the audio's gone, and he knows this, he's an audio pro. But Chris, I really love that, and Alfredo was we both kind of chimed in, and we understand exactly what he's talking about. Melissa Reyes, who, if you guys are not familiar with Melissa Reyes, you can find her over at Ms. Meliz on Twitter. She does a number of different broadcast shows, and she's been broadcasting for a while, podcasting, and she's a podcast personality, if anything. And it's a real pleasure to know her. And what's funny was that she was replying to a number of these comments, particularly from Chris, saying, "It's not my fear, it's my foe." And I thought that was hilarious, and just a real insight into Melissa's personality, because I think a lot of people can really identify with that. It's not so much like a fear. It's more of like, oh, I got to get it. And they know it. And so they're trying to check it, and it's something they're always fighting with. And I love Melissa's perspective on it. One of our Live Talk Nation moderators, William Slays, I met him a number of years ago. One of his fears he actually put in, this is a very personal one. He says, I might chip my front tooth again. He was eating some candy while he was doing a live stream. And this was a couple years ago on a different platform. But he says, it's all right because I made the sale anyway in the end. And I thought that was actually really funny because William's an awesome guy, and he's got a great personality for a lot of his live streams. So I really appreciate just kind of just doing a quick rundown of seeing actually who's been able to be a part of it, and what your guys' perspectives are. I'd love to see is if hey, could somebody, and because I can't type over on that window, but could somebody tag William on that, because that is a great memory. Or actually, you could also tag Melissa, but I think she's working right now. I think she might be working. Sometimes she joins us for our afternoon chats. All right, so we're moving right along. And by the way, guys, if you don't already know that this show is produced by Bitmug. Bitmug is a full-service audio and a visual video production company, and we specialize in live streaming events and taking podcast series and making them into video series and things like this for you. And we just started out a brand new YouTube channel. It's maybe about a week and a half old now. And I would really love it if you guys would just take a moment, go over to vmug.pro, and this is the short link. So vmug.pro/Bitmug YouTube. And that if you would just go over, subscribe to our YouTube channel, we'd appreciate it. A bunch of you guys are starting to click on it and watch the videos. We really appreciate it. Some of it is going to be original content for YouTube that you probably aren't going to see. You're definitely not going to see it on Periscope. You might catch it every once in a while on Facebook, but we do put a lot of effort into our YouTube channel now. So if you just subscribe, help us out, join our community, we'd love to have you guys there. Moving on, we have question number 2, and I want to make sure that I didn't miss anybody that was tweeting it out. Roland Millward on Twitter actually says his greatest fear is running out of battery power. Roland, I haven't heard that one, but I guess maybe that's under the umbrella of a tech fail of some sort. Alfredo says halfway through a stream, when the stream is active and the internet speed drops. Again, see, there are some things I think that are out of our control, and there are some things that are in our control. And Doug Doug Cohen from Frameable Faces actually also said the same thing. Losing a connection in the middle of a glitchy broadcast, that's probably it. I mean, and this guy broadcasts, he does a morning show with his wife, from their studio, their photography studio, and they have a really great time. And I can just imagine being halfway through the show and then all of a sudden, bam, it's all gone. Everything's gone. I can definitely see how that'd be upsetting. All right, hey, let's bring on question number 2, because I had a gut feeling earlier on the week when we were kind of planning this out that tech fails would be the number one thing that would get you. And I've had my fair share of them. And I wanted to share at least one short but very relevant story. I remember going live one time, and it was probably one of the first times I had ever tried to go live to multiple destinations, and some of them were for library, just having a recording on the cloud. Others was for a lot more about interaction. It was a lot less about the production, but I wanted to catch everybody's comments and things like that. And I thought it was kind of an interesting thing, because I was so caught up in the tech that I forgot the basics. That I think my camera was pointed in the wrong direction. I think it was either the camera was pointed in the right direction. My microphone was not in the right place. So I was talking, and I was looking at the screen, and I couldn't, because there's like a long delay, and I was doing my intro, and then I realized nobody could hear me. Absolutely nobody could hear me. They could see me. And I'm telling you, like, it was one of those mornings I was on fire. I probably had like about, like 8 cups of coffee. I was ready to go. That was probably one of the best ones that I had, is in terms, actually, I don't know if that really constitutes a tech failure, but it was definitely a John failure on that. But we've all had those. And I want to catch over and see some of the comments over on Periscope. Thank you, Terry Johnson, who's one of our admins in the Live Talk Nation. She said, my fear is a tech problem. And I think most people feel that way. Tech problems are huge, and they're really important. We got to slay the giants. We got to get rid of them. And I think one of the best things that I do to help prevent and to kind of work on those tech things that we can control is to work off the checklist. And I know it's once you start to get into it, the process, the number of things. And I mean, if you guys agree with me, I mean, give me some hearts or something. You gotta say, yeah, right on. Or because I mean, I want to encourage you guys, if you're not already, one of the best ways to get through, through those fears of having a tech failure is to test it. practice, have the checklist, make sure you know exactly how it works and that it goes in a certain order. So if something does go wrong, it doesn't throw you for a loop. Guys, this past Monday, I was doing a broadcast and I had loaded the wrong graphic. And I mean, I was just straight out about it. And I said, oh man, I loaded the wrong graphic. So I just click and quick brought up another one. And I just put it on. I hope I didn't miss a beat too much. Um, Jen, did you get to see that one, by the way?
Yes, I did. And I'm so glad that I got to come on and giggle about it. No.
No, I mean, it happens, right? It happens to everybody.
It really does. I mean, and in the scheme of things, putting up
Yeah.
the wrong graphic is probably the least of tech fails that
Hmm.
we've experienced probably in the last two
Well, a
years.
lot of them are self-induced, right? Like it's stuff that we've done. Like I didn't click the broadcast button on switchboard or something like that. So I'm streaming, but just not only to one place, and switchboard didn't I didn't click the I've done that before. That was awesome.
Well, I can be honest about a tech fail I just had today because I pretty much have at least one tech fail
Oh,
every time I do a show. And sometimes it's just as little as putting up the lower third at the wrong time, right? And trying to dodge it out real quick that nobody sees it, I hope. But I actually forgot to hit the record button earlier on today. But we have redundant systems to make sure we have backup recordings, and it's our tertiary backup recording that I forgot to hit.
oh, I got it.
When I think when you deal with things on a tech, like when you're doing what we're doing in terms of production, it's just you learn how to mitigate those fears and to roll with the punches. Like we have multiple redundant systems so that if something isn't perfect, we can pull from another way. And you just learn to roll with the punches because that's the best thing about live streaming, right? Is that this is live. What's going to happen in the moment is what's going to happen. And what was it? I think it was Hani who we had on. What was it last week?
Hmm.
Who he's like is one of the things that he really likes about live streaming is the fact that it's done and over with, right? That it's done. It's you're living in the moment. It's all here all the time, and you go with the tech failures or the tech successes, and you move forward. I like that about live streaming.
Hmm. But that's one of the things that I think separates out video, the traditional YouTube videos or the more polished and cut and practiced and from live, which is, I mean, we're all trying to do the best that we can, but that's one of the things that separates out established cut, choice cut, edited versions of we call them the YouTube videos. But I mean, it's anywhere we want to put our video as opposed to the live in the moment. Literally anything can happen. And I mean, if you want to see, just go out and search for like video bloopers or something like, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I haven't checked that one. I shouldn't say people do that. I do a video on that. I do a video on that in a heartbeat. Are you kidding me? Hmm. Oh, thank you for that. There we go. There we go. Now I'm able to watch too. I saw a couple of comments over on our Periscope, and I wanted to bring them up here. Let me just make them a little bit bigger. Earwig 999 says his greatest fear is actually being boring. A lot of people fear that. You know that? I don't know if yeah, yeah. Hmm. 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 Mhm. I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, that was a condition of today's show, by the way, for everybody, our messaging back and forth. There was a no-no with showing up in a clown, in a clown, video at all, so, at all. But hey, Jen, just real quick, I was getting a comment here. Would you just check to make sure that your audio source is actually going through on the show, going out live? I know I can hear you because of the way we're broadcasting it. How about that? Tech fail on that. Isn't that great? Prime example. But what do you and again, it comes down to the, like, well, what are you gonna do? You roll with it. But I mean, you fix it as soon as you can. Obviously with those things. But what was the other thing? One of the other things, because we've got question number 3 coming up, but right, right. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about is, like, as far as like a tech fail, one of the worst fears, because I drink with so much coffee, like, with me around. It's just part of life, right? I just enjoy it. I actually have a big fear that I'm going to dump my coffee all over my desk, on my keyboard, to the point where, just out of reach, I actually have a second keyboard that is ready and able to take over in case something really bad happens with the keyboard. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit eccentric about that. But anyway, so that was question number 2. We were talking about the what's your worst kind of tech fails, because that seems to be everybody's their number one thing. That's their number one fear. But a lot of people actually have mentioned and have talked about, that's not their only fear. One of their other big fears is dealing with trolls. And so question number 3, I wanted to ask you, I want to ask everybody in the community, whether you're watching on YouTube or Periscope, or wherever you're watching, how do you deal with trolls? And I don't mean like I'm mean to them, or like what is the thing that you do? How do you handle it? Do you deal with them? Do you talk with them and just try to turn them, or do you block them right away? Do you just kind of ignore them? I mean, what do you guys do? What do you do when you have to deal with trolls? And I have to be honest, I have not I have seen horrible trolling on live, and we're talking about live streaming now. I've seen horrible trolling, um, and I do my best, if I can, absolutely, to report it and things like this. And I don't mean harassment or in danger. I mean just talking about people that are just in there just to mess with you. Um, what do you guys do for trolling? Because to me, trolls are actually one of those are one of the characters in the live streaming world. They're just there to derail you. You may have a message, you may be even just coming on to hang out with your friends, and you get somebody in there that's they're just messing with you, and they are just trying to get you off of your train of thought. They're trying to get you to to mess up with some words, or to just to derail your broadcast. Lindsay Badger, who is one of the co-hosts of PopX Cast, she says block and report, ignore and move on, give them zero power and control. I know a lot of people have that. Have you found that to be the right way, the best way for you to be able to handle it? Is that what gives you the best feedback? And the other side of this is that I can understand very very much so that, like, as a guy, I tend to receive I'll get less trolls than a lot of women broadcasters, and it's just the lay of the land, and it's not okay. It's just more of the reality that I think a lot of female broadcasters they just know going into a broadcast that is something that they may have to endure. Not everyone, but some do. And finally, I'm kind of catching up on some of the comments on Periscope. You guys are doing great. But Jen, I would really thank you for coming on. I would really like to hear what your perspective is on trolls, and not that I'm not
Trolls.
calling you a troll, or that you do trolling,
Oh,
because you never have ever trolled any of my broadcasts. What do you
never.
think?
What are
I
you
know.
insinuating, Jonathan?
I'm not. I'm just pulling from experience.
No, I mean trolling is one thing you could do to your friends, and I think among the community we will go in and we will tease and try to bring a smile to somebody's face. That's a different type of humorous trolling, but the other trolling that we're mostly talking about is that is harmful and is what bullying via live stream, right? Before I get into my opinions, I wanted to share what Doug did, what Doug said. He is really good. He has a morning show. There's all types of people that are coming in, and he gets a lot of trolls between him and Allie. And he says try to transition them to sometimes block if really awful. And thank God, seriously, thank God Periscope came out with that block feature. It wasn't that long ago. If you think about it, it was probably only 6 or 7 months ago that Periscope all of a sudden gave us all these moderation features. And I think I talk primarily about Periscope because that's where I've seen, and I'm just going to go ahead and take over the whole show so Jonathan can get a little time. I think we've all seen Periscope to have that abundance of trolls. I think there's all different types of people live streaming on Periscope, so it brings all different types of people to come in and be like, "What you doing? Show me your feet." Open bobs. Mostly, personally, if I'm on Periscope, I like to just roll with the punches, just like Doug says. Transition them away from it. Try not to acknowledge it too much, but if you just can't not acknowledge it, go with it and don't let it bog you down. Don't take it to heart. Don't take it with you into your next live streaming, because it can become overwhelming and it can become very detrimental, especially like you said, Jonathan, with women. Women tend to get it quite a bit more.
No, I absolutely agree, and I say this in I have more sympathy than I think that I can have for empathy in this kind of a case, and not because I don't want to empathize or feel, but it's more of just like it is something I don't personally deal with, but it doesn't, I don't in any way, shape, or form. I think that makes it less important. I know that as somebody, as a viewer, if I see something like that, absolutely, I'm like, I'm not necessarily blocking them. I'm absolutely reporting the comment. Sometimes I'll actually call them out on it, but it's more so for if I don't have like commentator or moderator controls over it, I'm absolutely going to call them out. Because I posted this just a little bit ago on my Facebook page, and it was a very short video. It's about less than a 3-minute video done by Burger King talking about bullying, and I want a, you know what, I don't think I made it public, but I'm going to make it public, so anybody can see. This is one of the best 3-minute videos I've ever seen, and it really talks about dealing with bullies, and that's why I'm kind of tying it in here with the trolls. How do you handle bullying? Because they took it and they put a little different spin on it, and it's worth the watch. And I think it will actually challenge maybe the way that how passively you may be dealing with trolls, because it's just not cool. And as a husband, as a friend, as a father, my tolerance, I think, was a lot greater. My patience with it is now razor thin, and I have no patience for trolls and for bullies. That's my 2 cents on that now.
You had patience prior? I mean, I think you've
Yeah.
moved from very little patience to negative patience about
And
bullying.
anti patience, right? No, I mean,
Negative
where
anti
there was a
patience.
time where it was just like, yeah, like you just
Mm-hmm.
kind of let them talk. And because I remember when we had shows, when we were doing like broadcasts on like Periscope and Blab and stuff like that, um, I'm not, I would just kind of like, just like ignore them, everybody. And then if they kept on, I would block them. But now it's like, nope, gone. Nope, none. I don't have any. I don't have any of the any of that patience for it. So and that's my whole thing. And Lindsay Badger, I think she just really sums it up really well. It's the block, report, ignore, and move on. And I think that is a really important part of what we do. Um, Real quick, we're about halfway through the show. If you guys haven't already, if you guys are watching us out in Facebook land, or maybe you're watching this somewhere else. Um, Maybe you're watching this on YouTube, but you would like to have conversations in between broadcasts, or you want to be able to catch us maybe with some of the other shows that we're producing, whether it's streamed that that Jen produced, which is a tech walkthrough, or maybe you want to catch some of the social media news and some live streaming updates and things like this, and really just kind of chat and have a fun time. You guys can join us in between broadcasts over at livetalknation.com. That is just a link that takes you over to our Facebook group. And I gladly accept you, gladly welcome you into our community, our growing community. As you know, as we're moving forward, and we love to connect with a lot of people. So if you're even watching us on Periscope, I dare you, come on over, join us, be a part of our community. And as one of the communities that we are really loving to partner up with, and that is VidPresso. And if you guys don't remember, a couple of weeks ago, we did an interview with Randall Bennett, who's one of the founders of VidPresso, and we've had some really great experience with their product. And we wanted to make sure that everybody had a chance just to even try it out. It's not the tool for everybody. I'm going to put it right out there, so it's not a hard sell. I want you to go over and try it for free. You can go in and I think if we haven't already planned for it, we're going to be doing a little bit some walkthroughs on how to quickly set this up, because this may be actually the answer for you. And we're going to be talking about some of the features that they have going on, and some of the things that they may be starting up here in the near future. But we really think that this is really kind of a cool thing. So if you want to go over to vmug.pro/vidpresso free, so you guys sign up, but that is an affiliate link. So if you guys do actually make a purchase, we do get a small portion of that, but that's more of just kind of helps offset the cost of some of the subscriptions that we have just to make Let's Livestream work. So Jen, without any further delay, let's go into question number 4, because I love this next question. And question number 4 is actually pretty straightforward. What if no one or everyone shows up for your live stream? And I kind of put it this way because sometimes I think a lot of people can identify with this. They start a live stream and they wait, and the longer they wait, and I'm telling you, like, this is one of those things where seconds feels like hours, where you're waiting for someone to show up. If you really want this feeling, go live on Periscope for like for the first time ever, right? Or maybe like the second time you ever done it, and because their notification algorithms, it's just delayed, and so you're just waiting, and you're like, okay, is anybody going to show up to my live stream? And what if nobody shows up, and I'm doing this broadcast and nobody's paying attention? And guys, I mean, that's the anxiety a lot of people have. They're afraid that they're literally going to be alone talking to their phone. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that's the case. Because honestly, like, I think I would have a greater fear of having everybody show up. How many of you guys have had that where somebody shares it out and all of a sudden it goes from like 1 to 5 to 10, 25, and you got people rolling in the room. You got more comments than you can read because someone somewhere shared it and they turned their community onto yours. But that's that. I mean, and I don't mean like you have 1,000 people watching, but all of a sudden, maybe you're used to 10, 15, 20 people, and all of a sudden you have 50 people in the room. That can be a little unnerving, just a little unsettling in the whole matter. And that really, honestly, that happens the most when people share your broadcast with their community, and people catch on. But I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. Um, Lindsay Badger over on Facebook says, let me just kind of move this over. She says, well, it's a bit depressing to have no one show up to a live event, but we repurpose in other places, and that way we get more replays than the live show. And that's a really good perspective, Lindsay. That you don't just settle for what was happening in the moment, and like 2 people showed up, but that a lot of people love and they live for the replays. I really kind of like that idea, and that's actually something that I would encourage a lot of people in making their video content, their live stream content. Don't just make it for what's happening right there in the live. Make sure that there are segments or parts of your broadcast that can be used on a replay. It only makes sense. And Hanimura he really made a great case for that, and his entire company, Repurpose.io, is really bent towards that purpose, is helping people repurpose their content. Ms. Melissa over on Periscope, she says, I like having a co-host to talk to in case no one shows up. Melissa, that's great advice. Jen,
did you like my timing there?
yeah, how do you feel about having a co-host for when no one shows up to your broadcast?
I mean it's nice. Number one, being on camera with somebody else to talk back and forth with, it makes it easier to bounce ideas off, continue to have a great show and put out new content and kind of go down a path of derailment, as I've learned with my co-host on Wine Antics Live, who is Stubb from Cork Envy, and we feed off of each other after a good amount of time, right? You and a good co-host can just sit here for a very long time having a nice conversation. And sometimes people that come and people that don't come, they're just that added bonus. And that's the liberty that a co-host gives you. Melissa also mentioned in terms of repurposing, right? She put out a great
Mhm.
comment and she said, thanks for having Honey on. I'm trying repurpose.io app right now. I'm like, for me, that's
Mhm.
such encouragement. Even if like one or two people show up for Let's Live Stream, just to hear that one comment that somebody took a piece of advice or listened to one of our guests that we have on here and is now using it to better their content, that's powerful. Like I feel like I just got a Halloween gift. Thank you, Melissa.
I want to just kind of catch up on some of the Twitter comments to our question, and
Oh yeah.
Joannika Vandenbosch, which, by the way, I would have
Oh.
no prayer of actually reading and pronouncing her name had I actually not met her a few years ago. And she is, I love so much of her perspective, and she's written a book, talking
Mm-hmm.
about living your speak and living what you're speaking and putting that out there. And she writes this. It's a really great quote. I just retweeted on our live stream. She says, "My 2 cents: record your session anyway. If it's valuable content, repurpose it." I'm going to be retweeting that this week. I'm just saying. I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's going to happen.
She may find herself in a little gif. I'm just
Right.
saying.
Yeah. So, by the way, if you guys would like to be retweeted and things like this, you have to use the hashtag Let's Live Stream, and put something funny or witty or informative. You can't be boring in your tweets, or I don't retweet them. I'm just going to say that. And yeah, Jen's going to be mad at me for that. I know that.
Nope. No pressure. No pressure.
Yeah, have to be witty, at least at a 6 or above. Okay, you can't be 5 on the witty scale. You have to be much higher than that. Man, you guys are killing it today on Periscope comments and everything like this.
I know you guys are
Um,
making my job back here actually pretty hard, and and maybe that's why I'm having so many of my own tech fails. All of my fears are actually coming true today, and I don't know if it's because we've put this fears in live streaming, putting it out into the universe. But I was actually Hanimura for a little while because I didn't switch out the right lower third.
nice.
Forgot to do the recording,
Okay.
little audio glitch. I
Mhm.
think the gremlins that are associated with Halloween
Or
have gotten
maybe
into
you
my
planned it.
production.
Maybe you planned it this way. Maybe that's what it is. You actually planned this to give examples of fears and how to get over that. So, and Alfredo, thank you for trolling us today. I appreciate that. I see the comments. So, and Yoyanika, welcome. Thank you for joining us on Facebook. I see she joined us on Facebook and also on Twitter. So, I love it. You guys are doing a really great job, and I don't want to, I don't want to get behind. We have question number 5 coming up. You can just switch that right over, can't you? You don't even. I mean, you're on top of this today. Question number 5, everybody. This is we've got 2 more questions, and they're both, and I want to make sure that I hear everybody's perspective on these things. Some of you guys, you've just simply added live streaming to what it is that you already do. And so speaking in front of public speaking or speaking in front of people, whether it's large or small groups, is not a big deal. But it's amazing how many people actually have to deal with this issue of having stage fright. So our question number 5 is, how do you deal with stage fright on live stream? And I will be honest, like I've been speaking in front of people for years and years now, both large and small. I've done recordings. I mean, obviously now I do live streaming, but I have to say that it's not always been easy. I even now, whether it's performing or in this case we're doing speaking, and I consider live streaming to be a form of public speaking. There is a certain amount of anxiety that you get and it's not always, it's not out of control in terms of like there's a panic set in. It's sometimes when it comes to like live streaming, you get that it's a pie, you know, I don't know what to call it exactly. Maybe it's a positive anxiety where you're anticipating, you're excited to go out. I have a message to share, I've got something. But a lot of people, they're not there. That live button, it starts and their mind goes blank, and literally it feels like every single tech problem can happen all at once, and it's almost like the universe is out to get you in the live streaming world. But how many of you guys, how do you guys deal with stage fright on, you know, when you're live streaming? I know if you're public speaking, they say look at like one person maybe down front, or you look at the back of the room where, and you don't look at people's faces, and you just pick like those different places all over the room that you're not looking at people, and that you're not thinking about how they're looking at you, but you're just getting to your message. And you know, there's lots of different tips and strategies, but I would love to hear what you guys actually do. How do you get over stage fright for your live stream? Ms. Meliz, she says, I'm trying to catch up with um, trying to catch up with all of her examples. Oh, she was saying her fears or problems are, my fear of audio problems are gone now that I record and have a backup. So okay, so that's a great comment. I appreciate that, because we've had to learn sometimes the hard way how to get through this. But Melissa, I would love to actually hear how you and see how you handle these kinds of fears and these kinds of stage frights. Um, let's see here, trying to get through. Uh, nice. Donna says she pretends everybody's naked. Well, that's okay. That is definitely one way of doing it. I don't know that I would necessarily make me feel more comfortable to imagine a room of like naked people. I don't. That maybe that's just me, but I've heard that before, and it probably does actually work for some people. So good for them. Lindsay Badger says having a solid plan, which I love that. Just right there. I'm just going to repeat that again because that's so awesome. She says, have a solid plan written down so you know exactly what to expect and not completely rely on the freestyle thoughts. That's kind of cool. I like that. I don't know if Jen is still lurking around, or if she's trying to do something else. How does, I wonder how Jen handles it.
What? What
How
did you
Jen,
call me?
how do you handle it when you know, when you get that stage fright issue on your live streaming particularly?
I think the only time I ever get stage fright is when I bumble my words, and I'm pretty good and pretty notorious for bumbling my words quite a bit, saying the wrong thing. I don't know. My dyslexic brain likes to just make up words along the way.
Mm,
I think I think there is an excuse and or a bit of permission when it comes
mm,
to live streaming to be who you are, and whether that's perfect or whether that's a little bit goofy, a gamer, somebody that does beauty makeup. Like live streaming is the moment. It's raw. It's authentic. You
mhm,
get to be who you are, and all of us try to be our better selves.
mhm,
Like I wear makeup. I do my hair because a bad hair day is not a good thing to have on live stream, and it affects not only the way you feel confident, but in the way people will come and watch your streams, right? Unless something very tragic is happening, and then
mhm,
that's a whole other route to take. But
mhm,
Penny Sadler, who is one of my wine community friends, said something about a bad hair day, and I definitely wanted to throw that out there. That is a real live streaming fear, and I think getting over stage fright, I call makeup my war paint, and maybe that goes back to my army days, but it's kind of a fun take on it. When you're behind a good face of makeup, you feel more confident, you feel more put together, and a little bit of that stage fright can go
mhm,
away.
mhm,
You can be a different, almost be a different person, a
mhm.
better version of you.
Right, and that is a good point to be, because it is, I think one of the things we have to realize that it is by and large, it's a psych problem. You know,
Yeah,
it's an attitude, it's a perspective. That's why I wanted to ask this and kind of bring it in, where, you know, tech problems are something, sometimes they just happen. It's things that are out of your control. It's things, you know, that your computer's working fine, the internet was working fine, and then suddenly it doesn't. It's not something you control. Trolls, they're outside of our control, but that we have an action step that we can take.
yeah,
But when it comes to this idea of having stage fright and like, what do we do when you lose your words and you get really just tense? That's all inside, but it's something that we have control of. It's I'm so glad to hear and see that Yoyanika is here, because she's a TEDx speaker and her comment is great.
Oh,
And I'm going to read it real quick.
okay.
It just says, I wasn't struggling with stage fright in live streaming, but at my TEDx talk, I just died. I went, it went well in the end, proud of the result, but the fear was real. And she says
Yeah.
that in capital letters. And I think that's one of the things we have to understand is that it is real. Like, this isn't just,
No.
it's not makeup. It's not, oh, just get over it.
No.
No, it is something real. And oftentimes having a plan and being ready, having the script, maybe practicing. If this is your first time, practice it. I still have a script. And if you guys don't know my behind the scenes, and I actually did post a picture up on Facebook and on my Instagram,
Where's
I just
mine?
quick turned around and I have a setup for this. And when the setup is not going well, it makes this show very difficult to do. But I have a minute by minute script for Let's Live Stream. I have one and I have to, and I practice it. Now I don't have to practice all of the material because I know it, but it takes a little bit. And that's how I get over my stage fright. That's how I get over my anxiety of, this is really important. I have somebody took their time, is going to come on the show, and or there are people out there that are watching the show and they're going to be on this, and we got to make this thing happen. How are we going to do this? So it's a big deal.
Yeah, and I think having a script and or preparing is very different for different people. I think in the beginning you've got to spend in any live stream or any presentation that you're gonna do. You in the beginning you have to spend a lot of time thinking things through and planning and writing it out. And I really respect people that can have a whole script and follow it through. I cannot do that because if I have a script in front of me, I will read it verbatim,
Mm.
and you guys don't want me to read something verbatim. When I was I've done public speaking in the past at when I in my previous job, and I learned the hard way, don't put text in front of me. I
Mm.
need very little outlines. And this is I showed this on my streamed episode. This was streamed yesterday, and I would love it if you guys check that out because I showed how to do recording, how to create that secondary backup recording on a couple different ways, and it's up on YouTube right now. But this is my outline, and this is what I use to this day. Sometimes I write out the whole script and then I narrow it down to this, because if I have this, I can keep my show flow going. I know what I need, and I feel confident behind this paper. And I think a lot of what it comes to mitigating stage fright is your level of confidence and comfort. And that's why there are people like Lottie Hearn out there that do confidence on camera, the people that help you to figure out your fear and see if you can get to the point where you can make your content good on live streaming.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm
Oh,
laughing
you're
at
laughing
Doug's
at me. It's
comment.
okay.
I'm laughing at Doug's comment because he says in Periscope, he says, I lied. I
You lie.
realized I had a brief moment of stage fright at Summit Live on my first question. Well, good. I'm so glad to see that that he had that moment of fright, so he could be a lot more like the rest of us live stream mortals. Doug, I love you, man. I love messing around with you. Doug Cohen, if you guys haven't already, they do an awesome, fun, awesome show on weekday mornings. I think it's at 10 o'clock actually on Periscope over at Framble Faces. Give them a little bit of a watch, love, and you'll see the best and the worst of Doug. You'll always see the best of Allie, but sometimes the worst of Doug. Jen, we got the last questions. We really do have the last question. We're going to actually kind of wrap this up. This last question is question number 6. Have you ever done or seen the accidental behind the scenes shot? And we're going to tie this right into our final thoughts because, and I want to, I just give Jen a little bit of transition time because she's actually producing this show. I don't know if you guys know this or not. Producing the show, and I would actually love for her one time just to set her camera up and just to record the chaos, because I'm not going to record my chaos because it's that embarrassing. I'd love for her to embarrass herself somehow. But there is no way that you would believe the chaos that goes behind the scenes just to make a regular show that we try to have fun, we do try to make this, as entertaining and as helpful as we can. And so, but have you guys ever seen like those accidental behind the scenes shots? Maybe like the camera falls over, and so you're not seeing just the background stuff. Maybe you're seeing the everything else, or they some producer is and they hit the wrong button, and they're showing the guest halfway off the screen, doing their hair or fixing their makeup, or maybe drinking or spilling coffee on themselves. Like, we've seen them all. I personally love to see those little blooper reels, those little oopses. Is almost to the point. You know what? So if any of you guys want to put that out there, you post it on Twitter or on Facebook and tag me in it. Say, like, live stream bloopers or something like that. I would love to see your behind the scenes. Like, oh my gosh, how many of you guys have actually seen that? How many of you guys have actually either experienced it or seen it firsthand? Because there is a lot to be said for the not produced side. I remember seeing one particular video. It was somebody, they were really serious, and they were into it, and they had their phone, and they had it on one of those little gimbals, the steady cam things, and they had this, and they were really getting into it, and they were walking along, and all of a sudden the camera was like just looking up at the sky, and just they heard this person just like, oh, it turns out what they had done, they weren't paying attention, and they tripped and they fell, dropped their camera, sprawled out everything. Absolutely fantastic. From a blooper side, I don't remember if they were hurt or not. I trust they weren't, but it really was actually quite funny to be watching along, get them really serious in the moment, and then all of a sudden they're gone. Ms. Meliz, I know you put an answer to our question out there. She posts behind the scenes on her Snapchat all the time. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Putting on
You like it when other people show the behind the scenes. I heard you talking. What do you show behind the scenes? One Instagram stories picture is not you showing behind the scenes, Jonathan.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I don't know if I'm ready to be that vulnerable with my audience.
I don't know that I'm ready. And let's be honest. I am a woman, right? I don't know that I'm ready to show this side of me. Like the back end side of me, because I mean, I could have something on my desk here, but you wouldn't get that full perspective. What you need to do is have a camera way back here and see the chaos that's running here to get the perspective. I don't know that I'm ready for that. I don't know if my dye job is good enough.
Yeah, if you saw my desk, we wouldn't be friends. We'll say it like that.
No,
we wouldn't be friends.
That would be a fun challenge, though, wouldn't that?
Oh yeah.
Like in terms of being vulnerable, or in terms of facing your fears, is just to show that behind the scenes. And it doesn't have to be a totally messy desk.
Do you want to do it? You want to do a challenge? Who's up for a challenge? Who wants to, this week, one time, Jen brought it out. Who wants to be vulnerable enough and take a picture of their desk or their live stream setup, but not from you cannot straighten everything up.
No, you cannot.
Okay. I mean, if something's like outright down, like gross or like that embarrassing, like that's okay. But honestly, just take a snapshot.
Oh goodness, let me do it right now.
Take a snapshot of your setup. Oh my goodness, are we gonna do this
right now?
He is gonna do this, but I actually can't do this right now. I'm gonna do it right after, I promise, though.
All right, I just did it.
Okay.
it's done.
Then you tag hashtag. If you're on Twitter, if you're
my
on
God,
Facebook, you're watching this,
horrible.
Put it out, and you use the hashtag Let's Livestream, because otherwise I won't be able to find it. Nobody else will too.
I don't know.
Maybe we'll give you a good little retweet. See it?
You're gonna see it. That is the chaos that's happening right now. I even have hair dye on my desk. That's how serious this is.
Jason says he's in. Yoyanika says she's in. She's doing it. Jason says Jason Franco, he'd love to do it.
Do it right now. Do like I did right now.
Do it right now.
Do it right now.
Ms. Melissa says she's on it. She's going to do this. Oh, I got 10 other messages. That's awesome. My area is a disaster for Amble Faith. See, this is what we love, and this is in all reality, and this is kind of my final thought. Wait, Jen, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Jen, I didn't give you a chance for final thought. I gave you the question, but I didn't get final
I
thought.
know, because I was
Final thought.
busy fussing behind the scenes. It's been a rampant day today. Honestly, there's been a lot of Twitter comments. There's been a lot of great quotes that have gone off on Periscope, and I'm trying to type it out and write it down. But in terms of final thoughts for fears of live streaming, look, none of us came that are live streaming now started out perfect. And that's the biggest thing to remember. I started on Periscope back in, I think, December of 2015, and I did shows all about wine, just about wine, and I learned real fast that nobody cares about my level of nerdy wine knowledge. Nobody cares about my level of nerdy wine knowledge. But I treasure those moments because I learned not only how to invite people in, like my friends, and doing promotional things to try to convince people to come watch me. I had a lot of tenacious spirit into it, but you have to have that. You have to have that desire to put yourself out there just a little bit, grow a little bit, be okay with showing your change and the challenges that you face. And I've learned that over the years that people love moments like this where I show my desk, the behind the scenes, the struggles that it is to be a co-founder in a great production company. People like to experience the journey with you. They don't expect perfection
Mm.
in live streaming. So take your fears as little or as big as they can come, but know that they're going to get better over time.
Excellent. Jen, I literally have
Boom.
nothing else that I could add. You summed it up excellently. You are not alone.
No.
Everybody has them. It's what we're going to do and how we're going to handle them. And guys, that is really the essence of community. And even just kind of doing this fun little quick little challenge, and we're all going to do it. We're all just going to be able to share it. And here's the point really is that um oftentimes shedding light and talking about your fears is one of the biggest strategies to be how to handle them and how to manage them when they do rear their ugly heads. And especially with live stream that puts everything out there, and it's live, and sometimes it just can't be undone. So being very careful and being strategic about what we do. So with that, I'm going to say, guys, thank you so much for joining us today on our episode talking about live streaming fears. This was a really fun episode, guys. Thank you, everybody that's been sharing it, adding comments. They're going to be posting your pictures. Make sure you guys do use your hashtag Let's Live Stream. That will help us be able to share it, and everybody will be able to find it, guys. Next week we have another show. And I'm trying to bring up all the details about it. But we do have another show we have Amir, and I can't even pronounce the last name. I'll be honest with you, Amir Z. And he's over with Zoom. He's one of he's a CSO over at Zoom. We're going to be talking about fan engagement, maybe a little bit of analytics, but we're not going to get too nerdy on you. But we are going to be talking about this because it's super important for live streaming. He's a great guest. We cannot wait. We've been waiting for weeks to have Amir on, and I really can't wait. So if you haven't already, make sure you sign up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I guarantee you're going to get notifications about it so you don't miss this episode. And guys, I really got to say thank you again from the bottom of my heart for joining us today on Let's Live Stream. Today was awesome. With that, guys, take care. I'll see you next week.